What's up guys, it's your boy Senron. In my last video, I talked about buffs, debuffs and crowd control in League of Legends and how they can be used to annoy your enemies. In this video, I'll cover the importance of the different elemental drakes, the Elder Dragon and their value in a normal League match.
Water, earth, fire, air.
Chemtech, Hextech,
Mega faggot.
Long ago, the
6.
nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when Deutschland attacked. Only
Shyvana,
master of all
6.
elements could stop them. But when the world needed
Her.
it most,
She had a 3.7% pick rate. Her win rate's pretty good though. I wonder why. The elemental drakes in League of Legends are a neutral jungle camp objective that play an important role in the pace of a match. You can encounter drakes in the Dragon Pit, which is located in an alcove in the lower river. The first elemental drake spawns exactly 5 minutes into the game. The type of element the drake has is randomly chosen between the 6 currently active elements. You can check which element it's going to be by either inspecting the wall in the Dragon Pit alcove or by pressing the tab key and looking at the spawn timer. When a drake is slain, the next one will return after a 5-minute long cooldown, spawning with a random element that hasn't been present yet. Slaying a drake provides the killer's team with a buff called Dragon Slayer, experience, and some gold. More on that later. After slaying the second drake, the game randomly selects the third type of drake out of a pool of elements not present yet. When it is finished selecting, the Summoner's Rift map will alter based on the third drake's element. From now on, and for the rest of the match, the drake will not change elements between the kill cooldown, with the only exception to this rule being the Elder Dragon. Once either team has slain their fourth drake, the Dragon Pit will now instead spawn the Elder Dragon with a 6-minute respawn timer. The elements of all drakes are, however, not just for show. No, they provide the killer's team with unique benefits based on their elemental type. I'll explain each drake in the individual chapter of this video, so if you're only interested in learning about one specific type of drake, please feel free to skip to the part of the video you want to learn more about. I would, however, appreciate it if you watched the video in its entirety, because that would really help me with the YouTube algorithm. But, you know, no pressure. No pressure. Let's start off by talking about the similarities that every drake has, no matter their element. Even though they technically count as a jungle camp, drakes are far from defenseless. Oftentimes it takes more than one person to take down a drake, and that is due to a multitude of reasons. The first one is their ability called Resistance Skin, which provides them with total crowd control immunity except for stasis. This means that champions that rely on their crowd control to clear their jungle will have a hard time killing the drake alone due to their kit being virtually useless against them. Drakes also really hate you, especially if you killed many of their friends. Drakes deal bonus physical damage equal to 5% of the target's current health with their auto attacks and gain a 20% damage bonus against enemies that have the Dragon Slayer passive effect. This bonus stacks based on the amount of Dragon Slayer effects a team has, alongside a 7% damage reduction. So a team that, for example, has slain 3 drakes already receives 60% bonus damage from the current drake, and the drake itself would ignore 21% of all damage dealt to it by the members of the dragon murdering team. And to top it all off, drakes also have a unique style of attacking based on the element and 30% armor penetration. The Infernal Drake is the fire dragon from hell. Even though it looks scary, it is by far the most basic of all the dragons. It has average stats in both offense and defense, and the only really noteworthy thing about it is that its basic attack has an AoE effect. Each Infernal Drake slain grants a stack of Infernal Might to its killers. Infernal Might grants 6% bonus AD and AP for each stack respectively. As you could imagine, the Infernal Drake's buff becomes more and more effective as the game continues. This is because 6% bonus stats to someone with no items is hardly noticeable, but put those 6% bonus AD on a full build Jhin and you got yourself a pretty good time. If the Rift's theme is based on the Inferno, the map is thrown into the oven for a couple of minutes too long and ends up looking like this. The walls near the entrance of the Dragon Pit as well as some brushes on both sides of the jungle, are burned up, opening up new angles for playmaking opportunities. Additionally, blast cones start spawning in front of both teams' base gates, near the camps for Gromp and Wolves, and within the alcoves of both top and bot lane. Slaying a total of 4 dragons while the Infernal theme is up grants the collectors the Infernal Dragon Soul. The Infernal Dragon Soul is a passive effect that triggers explosions around a target whenever you damage them with basic attacks or abilities. The damage scales off bonus 80, AP, and health, and has a 3-second cooldown between explosions. Granted, it sounds about as interesting as the Drake itself, but I've yet to meet a person that complains about dealing too much damage to enemies. The Mountain Drake is the best friend of the Dorito Drake and the fat Reddit nerd Drake. Sadly, those two aren't implemented. Yet. The Mountain Drake is a slow but durable attacker. It has bonus attack damage at the cost of reduced attack speed. Its attacks also apply AoE. The Mountain Drake might be a bit quirky offensive-wise, but defensively, it doesn't mess around. It's currently the only elemental Drake that has bonus armor and magic resistance, though to be fair, it's only plus 20 each. Each Mountain Drake slain grants a stack of Mountainous Vigor to its killers. Mountainous Vigor grants 9% bonus armor and magic resistance for each stack respectively. As you could imagine, the Mountain Drake's buff also becomes more and more effective as the game continues. This is because 9% bonus stats to someone with no items is hardly noticeable, but put those 9% bonus armor and magic resistance on a full build Ornn and the enemy team won't be able to do anything against him. If the Rift's theme is based on the mountain, the map morbs up, which causes rock formations to emerge here and here, as well as at the entrance of the dragon pit itself. Slaying a total of 4 dragons while the mountain theme is up grants the collectors the Mountain Dragon Soul. The Mountain Dragon Soul is a passive effect that gives each team member a shield based on their bonus AD, AP and health if they manage not to receive any damage for 5 seconds. Again, very basic, but helpful in almost any situation. The Drake is very similar to the Infernal Drake. It shares the same stats, with the only difference between them being that instead of applying AoE damage, it applies a 30% slow for 2 seconds to whoever was hit by an Ocean Drake's basic attack. Each Ocean Drake slain grants a stack of Oceanic Will. Oceanic Will grants 3% bonus missing health regeneration for each stack respectively. Arguably, the best passive effect at the early stages of the game. Because of the bonus health regeneration, players will have to recall to their fountain fewer times to heal back up. This also allows them to take more aggressive trades or to drain an opponent's resources with little to no repercussions. But it even has its fair share of uses the longer the game continues, especially if a team has 3 or more stacks of it. If the Rift's theme is based on the ocean, the map flourishes, causing brushes to grow larger. 2 brushes also appear near the dragon pit, and additional honey fruits start spawning near mid lane, which replenishes health and mana to whoever walks over them. Slaying 4 dragons while the Oceanic theme is up grants the collectors the Ocean Dragon Soul. The Ocean Dragon Soul is a passive effect that restores health and mana over the course of 4 seconds whenever you deal damage to an enemy. The health regeneration scales off, you guessed it, bonus AD, AP and health, whereas the mana regeneration scales off your maximum mana. However, dealing damage to minions or monsters makes it so that you only regenerate at 30% effectiveness. The Cloud Drake is by far the most controversial elemental Drake in the game right now. It has bonus attack speed at the cost of reduced attack damage, which makes it one of the hardest Drakes to kill on your own. Each Cloud Drake slain grants a stack of Cloudbringer's Grace to its killers. Cloudbringer's Grace grants 7% slow resistance, as well as a 7% bonus to out-of-combat movement speed for each stack, respectively. Wait, before you throw it in the trash, let me tell you about what else it does. If the Rift's theme is based on the Cloud element, air currents start flowing near blue and red buff, as well as near the dragon pit. Moving through these currents grants you bonus movement speed, with values differing depending on if you're in or out of combat. Additionally, Scryer's Bloom starts spawning in front of both teams' bases and by the tri-brushes near the river. Slaying 4 drakes while the Cloud theme is up grants the collectors the Cloud Dragon Soul. The Cloud Dragon Soul is a passive effect that gives each team member 15% bonus movement speed, increased to 60% for 6 seconds after casting your ultimate ability. Okay, you can throw it in the trash now.
But Senron, that doesn't sound too bad.
True, but it's very situational. If you're playing Hecarim, for example, and manage to secure 4 Cloud Drakes, you're probably gonna have a pretty good time. But on immobile or stationary champions, for example Karthus, against a team that can't really slow you that much, it's fairly useless. Compared to all other elemental drakes that provide you with something you could use regardless of what role or champion you play, the Cloud Drake sort of forces you to pick up a more rotation and pick-oriented playstyle. And depending on both teams' champion composition, it might be extremely beneficial or extremely useless. Thank you. The Hextech Drake is one of the newer drakes to League of Legends. The Drake itself has an interesting attacking mechanic. Every 4th attack chains to nearby enemies, damaging and slowing all targets hit by the effect for 40% for 3 seconds. It has bonus attack speed at the cost of reduced attack damage. Each Hextech Drake slain grants a stack of Hextech Prowess to its killers. Hextech Prowess grants 9 bonus ability haste and 9% bonus attack speed for each stack respectively. If the Rift's theme is based on the Hextech element, the map spawns in so-called Hex Gates in both bases and in the jungle. Clicking on a Hex Gate causes you to channel up the entrance for 0.75 seconds. Once finished, you become untargetable and dash to the other side of the portal in 2.25 seconds. Before you arrive, however, you can decide your landing location, which is exactly 500 range around the exit hole. Exiting a Hex Gate also locks you from entering the same one for 30 seconds. Slaying 4 drakes while the Hextech theme is up grants the collectors the Hextech Dragon Soul. The Hextech Dragon Soul is a passive effect that grants each team member the ability to create electric chains whenever they hit an opponent with an attack or a spell. Units hit by the chain receive true damage and are slowed for 2 seconds. The effect itself has an 8-second cooldown, but both the damage and the slow can stack on a target. This makes the Hextech Drake the single best teamfight oriented Drake in almost any given situation. The Chemtech Drake is Kanye West's favorite Drake.
I like Hitler.
The Chemtech Drake is a racist, but more importantly, it's on juice. While its base stats are normal on paper, in practice it's a bit different. This is because it becomes stronger the lower its health gets, specifically by gaining bonus attack speed based on its missing health. Each Chemtech Drake slain grants a stack of Chemtech Blight to its killers. Chemtech Blight grants 5% bonus tenacity, as well as 5% bonus heal and shield power for each stack respectively. It was released with the Hextech Drake at the start of Season 12, but was quickly disabled a few patches later. However, it's now back with the start of Season 13, and it had a complete revamp. The new Chemtech Drake is fairly well received by the community. The old Chemtech Drake made it virtually impossible to play from behind and made warding completely useless, as its map transformation used to create these gas clouds that camouflaged anyone who entered them. And these so-called Chemtech fogs spawned across the entire jungle. It was a shit show, and there's still a lot of videos of people getting frustrated over them online. The new Chemtech map transformation, however, just mutates the map a bit. Jungle plants start spawning more often with additional effects. Blast cones knocks you and others away by twice the distance. Honey fruits no longer slow you when you walk over them, and additionally also grant you a small shield for a limited time. Scryer's blooms also reveal the area around it now. Enemy wards spotted by the plant's effect have their HP lowered to 1. Additionally, for 4.5 seconds after the plant was triggered, champions of the attacker's team gain 40% bonus movement speed while facing in the direction the pollen was released in. Slaying a total of 4 dragons while the Chemtech theme is up grants the collectors the Chemtech Dragon Soul. The Chemtech Dragon Soul is a passive effect that gives each team member a 10% buff to their overall damage as well as a 10% damage reduction buff, while below 50% of their maximum health. Dealing 10% more and taking 10% less damage is fairly helpful, even if the effect only applies to champions under half of their HP. The Elder Dragon is the boss baby of all the drakes in League of Legends. Sure, it might be bald, but the Elder Dragon is arguably the most powerful objective in the later stages of a game, even rivaling Baron Nash's incredible siege buff. And while it might not give you a permanent buff, it does give you an extremely overpowered temporary buff for 150 seconds. The buff is called Aspect of the Dragon, and it is given to all living teammates of the dragon killing team. The buff makes it so whenever you attack a unit, you also inflict a burn that deals a noticeable amount of true damage over 3 seconds. However, that's not the best part. You see, whenever you attack an enemy champion that is below 20% of their maximum health, while the aspect buff is currently active, you just fucking blast them! I gotta kill him! I gotta fucking kill him while we live in a society! Sorry, I just can't help myself sometimes. Getting the Elder Dragon buff can have that effect on people, and if you notice any one of your loved ones, or other people you might know, getting addicted to killing Elder Drakes, it's best to avoid them before they fucking kill you too, bitch! Oh, I'm dead. And that's about it for Drakes and the epic gamer buffs they provide you with. Leave a comment on which Drake's your favorite. I personally like the gay one a lot, although his music hasn't been pretty good for a while now. Anyways, my next videos are going to be focused on more specific things, such as Critical Strike, this guy's forehead, and a more detailed version of Tenacity. Wait, that's my other account. Who's commenting this? Oh, and 2 major videos concerning runes and itemization are in the making as well, so make sure to subscribe to not miss out on those.